All right, so the primer finished drying, and it actually didn't take very long on these parts for it to set up. Usually a full cure is probably about 24 hours or so, but this seemed nice and wasn't tacky or anything. So we went ahead and sprayed the parts with this gloss black, as you can see here. So this is actually a chassis, a specific chassis paint. It's made by Autobahn. It's called Chassis Armor Gloss Black, and it is wet right now, so that's why it has that shine. But once it dries, it still has that same shine. It actually looks like it's wet. So just kind of went through and sprayed all these parts. As you can see, it looks really good. And so what we'll end up doing is any parts that we want to spray black, we're probably going to use this paint on. In fact, got a fan shroud down here, as you can see. This is the engine fan shroud. I need to do some TLC to it. It looks all rusted and everything, as you can see. But that is very similar to the way all of these other parts were. We actually ended up wire brushing a lot of them, like these two guys right here. Ended up wire brushing them, and really wire brushed most of it. But after getting all the dirt off, we took it and we put it down in this electrolysis bath. And so basically it's just water and some soap, and you hook up these leads to it, and you leave it for overnight if you want to, or a couple hours, depending on how big the piece is, and it pulls all the rust off of it. So basically we got all the rust off of it. Any excess, especially like on those brake drums, we used phospho, which is phosphoric acid. You brush it on there, and it turns the metal that's good white, and it turns the rust black. And it does a chemical reaction to basically get rid of the rust, and then you paint over it, and you're good. So again, that's kind of what we did there. We've painted these parts up. These are all of our front end parts. We've got the control arms, the front brakes, the drop spindles, all that kind of stuff. And so we'll once all these dry, we'll start. We've got a couple of other parts that are coming in. We're going to lower the front end. We're actually going to take these two strut inserts. These on the 72 Super Beetle, it used McPherson struts. And so these are actually upside down. You've got the struts insert that goes in, like a shock that goes in, and then you have a big spring, coil spring, that goes over the top of that. So we're actually going to take out about 2 inches or so right here. Going to cut that out and lower this thing, and we've got some shorter strut inserts coming, and that way we'll be able to lower the front end about 2 inches or so. We're still playing around with how far we're going to lower it. The Super Beetle sits at ground clearance, they say, is about 6.3 inches, and they say that the front end has always sat about 1.5 inches or so higher than the back end, is at least what we're reading and what we're told. Again, I'm not an expert on it. This is our first go around with it, but they say it sits up about 1.5 inches higher than the back end. And if you've got really old strut inserts in the front, then it might sit level, but once you put brand new ones, it's going to push it back up. So we're going to lower this front end and really get it to looking good. So that's kind of what we did with these as far as spraying the parts here. It's really going to look good, and more to come later. Thanks.